Good morning, students. Welcome to English class for the students of class 8 by Anjali Kapoor. Now, in this session 2 of lesson number 7, unit 7, a visit to Cambridge, book Honeydew NCERT, let us continue with the reading, explanation, and activity part of the lesson. A visit to Cambridge. A lot of people seem to think that disabled people are chronically unhappy. I said, I know that's not true myself. Are you often laughing inside? About 3 minutes later, he responded, I find it amusing when people patronize him. The author talked about the general impression which normal people carry in their mind that disabled people are constantly sad and miserable or a unhappy lot, which is not true in his case. He asked Hawking if it was true for him. It took Hawkins almost 3 minutes to respond. He replied that he finds it entertaining, amusing, when people are only kind to him because of his different abilities. And do you find it annoying when someone like me comes and disturbs you in your work? The answer flashed yes. Then he smiled his one-way smile, and I knew, without being sentimental or silly, that I was looking at one of the most beautiful men in the world. The author further asks if he gets irritated or annoyed when someone like him comes and disturbs him in his work. Hawking smiled after flashing yes to his question. The author was feeling that he was looking at one of the most beautiful and wonderful men in the world. A first glimpse of him is shocking because he is like a still photograph, as if all those pictures of him in magazines and newspapers have turned three-dimensional. Means the first glimpse means look of Hawkins shocks you, startles you, because he is motionless, just as a photograph. It seems that all his photos in magazines and newspapers have turned three-dimensional, but still. Then you see the head twisted sideways into a slump, the torso shrunk inside the pale blue shirt, the wasted legs. You look at his eyes, which can speak still, and they are saying something huge and urgent. It is hard to tell what, but you are shaken because you have seen something you never thought could be seen. Students, one notices that his head is turned sideways. Slump means limply. Torso means upper part. The upper part of the body is shrunk inside the pale blue shirt. Legs weak. His eyes appears to say something which is very urgent, important, but hard to tell what. And one gets shaken because you have seen something you never thought could be unexpected. So one gets shaken. Before you, like a lantern whose walls are worn so thin you glimpse only the light inside, is the incandescence of a man. The body, almost irrelevant, exists only like a case made of shadows. So that I, no believer in eternal souls, know that this is what each of us is, everything else an accessory. Hawkins looked like a lantern whose walls are so worn out that you only see the light inside. The glow of a man, the inner glow, one can see the inner glow of a man. One realizes that the body is irrelevant. One realizes the irrelevance of the body and that it exists only like a case made of shadows. The author, who is a non-believer in eternal souls, realizes that man is no more than that. Everything else is an accessory, means not essential. What do you think is the best thing about being disabled? I had asked him earlier. I don't think there is anything good about being disabled. I think, I said, you do discover how much kindness there is in the world. The author asked Stephen what, according to him, is the best thing being disabled. To which Hawking replied in negative. He did not find anything good about it. The author says it makes one discover that there is so much kindness in the world. Yes, he said, it was a disadvantage of his voice synthesizer that it could convey no inflection, no shades or tone. And I could not tell how enthusiastically he agreed with me. Hawkins replied in affirmative. Since Hawkins had to use voice synthesizer, it was hard to decipher the excitement behind his answer. He agreed with what author says. Every time I shifted in my chair or turned my wrist to watch the time, I wanted to make every one of our 30 minutes count. I felt a huge relief and exhilaration in the possibilities of my body. How little it mattered then that I would never walk or even stand. All the time the author was trying to make best use of 30 minutes of meeting with Hawkins. During that time, he felt a huge relief about the disability of his body. He understood that it does not matter, he would never be able to walk or even stand. I told him how he had been an inspiration beyond glitch for me and surely for others. Did that thought help him? The author told Hawking that he had been a great inspiration for him and for others. He further inquired Stephen whether this thought helped him. No, he said, and I thought how foolish I was to ask when your body is claustrophobic room and the walls are growing narrower day by day. It does not do much good to know that there are people outside smiling with admiration to see you breathing still. Stephen Hawking replied in negative. Stephen feels when your own body is disabled and your condition is worsening day by day, it does not feel so good that people around you are smiling to see that you are still able to breathe. Is there any advice you can give disabled people? Something that might help make life better? The author asked Stephen if he would like to give a piece of advice to other differently people which would help them make their life easier or better. They should concentrate on what they are good at. I think things like the disabled Olympics are a waste of time. Hawking advised that they should focus on what they are capable of, what they are good at, rather than wasting time on what is beyond their reach, like disabled Olympics. I know what you mean. I remembered the years I had spent trying to play a Spanish guitar considerably larger than I was, and how gleefully I had unstrung it one night. The half hour was up. I think I have annoyed you enough, I said, grinning. Thank you for. It reminded author of his foolish act, spending years learning to play a Spanish guitar, which was larger than his own size, and how one night happily he unstrung it. The half an hour was over, the 30 minutes were over, and the author, after saying that he had annoyed Hawking enough, thanked him and started to leave. Stay, I waited. Have some tea. I can show you the garden. The garden was as big as a park, but Stephen Hawking covered every inch, rumbling along in his motorized wheelchair while I dodged to keep out of the way. We couldn't talk very much. The sun made him silent, the letters on his screen disappearing in the glare. Stephen asked him to wait. He offered him a cup of tea and an opportunity to visit his garden. His garden was as big as a park. They covered every inch of the garden in his motorized wheelchair while the author dodged to keep out of the way. They could not talk much. They could not converse much as the reflection of the sunlight made the letters disappear on his screen. An hour later, we were ready to leave. I did not know what to do. I could not kiss him or cry. I touched his shoulder and wheeled out into the summer evening. I looked back and I knew he was waving, though he wasn't. Watching him, an embodiment of my bravest self, the one I was moving towards, the one I had believed in for so many years, alone, I knew that my journey was over for now. They spent, how much time did they spend? They spent 1 hour. They spent 1 hour instead of half an hour. Now it was time to leave. The author was in dilemma how to say goodbye to Hawkins. He simply touched his shoulder and moved out in his wheelchair, greatly inspired by the bravest and most intelligent scientist. The keywords are chronically, means in a long-lasting problematic way. Patronize, treat in a way that is apparently kind or helpful but that betrays a feeling of superiority. Annoying, irritating. Torso, upper part of the body. Incandescence, inner glow or light. Accessory, not essential but extra, though decorative. Inflection, rise and fall of the voice in speaking. Gleefully, means very happy. Enthusiastically, in a way that shows intense and eager enjoyment, interest or approval. Exhilaration, a feeling of excitement, happiness. Rumbling, a continuous, deep, resonant sound. Dodged, avoid by a sudden quick movement. Disappearing, means be lost or go missing. Claustrophobic, very small and suffocating, abnormal fear of being in an enclosed space. And here is small exercise for better understanding. Now the message we get from this lesson. Students, the advice Stephen Hawking gave to differently able people is equally important for the so-called normal people. And what is that? That is to be positive. Be positive and creative. And it's important for every individual to know his or her potentials and concentrate on what his her interests and capabilities are to be successful in life. And I hope you all will work on it. You will try to know your potentials and concentrate on your interests and capabilities. This is a very important lesson we learn from this story. And now here are activities for you to do. Activity 1. Write a biosketch of any one famous and successful differently abled sports person on A3 sheet and paste the picture of that personality also. Now activity 2. Guess the brilliant personality other than Stephen Hawking shown in the picture and write his biosketch on A3 sheet. Thank you student and dear friends. Have a good day.